told the story many times when my Schwinn bicycle got stolen by my friend Richie D'Angelo, and I see D'Angelo riding it. He was a big kid. He was kind of the Phins of the neighborhood I grew up in Brooklyn. And, he was the leader of the gang that was, doing things that were maybe a little bit against the grain. He was the guy that was flooding the engine of the good humor truck while we robbed the ice cream out of the side. He was the guy that was orchestrating the egg hunts, whenever we, would toss a bunch of eggs through the windows of buses. Always doing stuff like that. Minor criminal activity. So anyway, I see him riding my Schwinn bicycle, and I'll never forget this. The guy looks at me and he says, "Oh, man, DeForest, if I knew this was yours, I would have never stolen it." Like it was okay to steal somebody else's bike, but I would have never stolen your bike. Well, what are you talking about? Here, take it back. It was great. My mother was very happy about that, but yeah, it's kind of crazy.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
I forget what the logo was for the Schwinn bicycle, but it should have just had a bullseye on it. That would have been the way to go, because it was a target for theft. As soon as you had the new Schwinn. A target for theft. Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you here. We have a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We do not have Dave Gurgles Gurgling. Gurgles busy with other enterprises that he's involved in. He does all of that charity golf stuff that he does with the Beat the Broadcaster. I believe this time, Lubie, although this was just a message that I got from you last night, but I thought I remember him saying that there was a golf tournament taking place at the course that he works at, which used to be Shula's and now is called the Miami Lake something. And still the same course, same location. The hotel's the same. Everything's the same, except the name. And Don Shula, wow, I mean, could they wait to take his name off the thing, huh? I mean, I would have left it up there. I guess the Shula's trust still has control over what his image, likeness, name, image, and likeness, let's face it, is college football being applied to Don Shula. But even after his passing, yeah, he won't be with us today, and I've assembled some questions. Having a little trouble with these headsets, so if you see me adjusting them, fear not, people. We're still going to go through with the show, and I'll try to figure out if there's a button I can push over here that might make it a little bit different, but it's going in and out, yin and yang, in and out, yeah, which is a little bit annoying. I mean, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that you deal with in the broadcasting industry, like the face of an angry program director. See, I don't have that anymore, although with my bathroom door open here in this downstairs man cave that I have, I do occasionally see the image of a program director with her face pressed against the glass. And it's always that angry face like you had on the cover of the King Crimson album, which is an appropriate reference. I don't know if you guys, well, you're too young to remember the King Crimson album. Have you ever seen the picture of the face on the King Crimson album? Look at King Crimson 1. And this was a great group. I mean, Robert Fripp was the man behind it, and they were into synthesizers way ahead of their time. Very avant-garde and interesting stuff. I don't know that I got into King Crimson 2. There was some... what's that? Oh, you seen the face? I wish we could put a picture of it up there. I mean, it would be great if we could do it. See if we can put a little production into this thing here, this first segment, because that face would be appropriate for the entire opening of the show. As there's a line in one of the songs, I believe the song is called Epitaph, which is appropriate for what happened to me yesterday with this Serena Williams thing. And
Mike Mayo's really
well, I mean, and look, you could be wrong about stuff. I can't say that I feel badly about being wrong about this, because I really don't. I did lose a dinner to Tony Segreto, but we made it at Texas Roadhouse. So what's it going to cost me? $50 for the two of us? Nothing.
Exactly.
All right. And I'm eating anyway. So, and I'd be glad to pay $50 for one person there at Texas Roadhouse, but they keep the prices at a super low level. So that loss was negligible. Let's put it that way. I don't like being wrong when Segreto's right, because of Segreto's pie in the sky position on everything.
Yep.
And, we like to just take shots at that because we don't believe it's a perfect world. It isn't a perfect world. Who out there is experiencing perfection in this world? Are you getting everything that you want out of life? No, you could always find something.
Exactly.
Something that, I'm quoting a lot of music here, but it ain't what you're missing, it's what you got. That's a line from my Tommy Castro song. It ain't what you're missing, it's what you got. It's called Living High on the Hog. It doesn't matter. Me and my baby and this old mangy dog doing all right, living high on the hog. So in general, we're all okay. If you just detach yourself, I thought of this yesterday on my walk of life, a philosophical gem, that if you could just take your head out of your ass for 10 seconds every day. And by that, I mean, look how many things that you inhibit yourself and prohibit yourself from doing in terms of making yourself feel better about your own life. Never mind what people say about you or this or that. That doesn't matter anymore. But by the time you get to my age, 71, who gives a shit what anybody thinks, right?
Honestly.
And in general, you're always going to want people to like you. It's nice to be well thought of. It's nice if you sort of give off a good vibe and, you get a reciprocal feeling from people when you run into them, right, Lubie? I mean, I don't know that you deal in this so much. But, if you took your head out of your ass for a second and stopped worrying about this and that and money and job and whatever, the wife, the relationship, kids, dogs, if you just said, wow, it's a beautiful world, you would live a better life. You really would. So there's something to be said for the whole Segreto approach. There's no doubt about it. We love Tony. I don't mean to get on Tony Segreto. If he really is that way, which he is, that's the scary thing.
Yep.
Then it's a great position to be in.
Yes.
It's kind of like sometimes, you look at somebody that might have mental, difficulties, maybe is compromised, had some kind of, thing happen to them at birth and they're not able to fully develop their capacities and they still have like the mind of a child. And you're thinking, that guy's way better off than me. Everything's great. Out there dancing all night, picking up every chick. I mean, it doesn't matter. They don't worry about it because they don't have their head up their ass. And so if you could just, detach yourself from that for a little while, I'm telling you, every second that you can do that, how many seconds are in a day, Lubie? I don't even know. Right? How many minutes are in a day? They're 24 hours in a day times 60. What's that? 120 plus 240. So that's what? Is that right? No, it's is it 1,200 plus 240? I don't know. Can't do the calculations here on the fly on the show. But nonetheless, I mean, if you just took 10 seconds every day, took your head out of your ass in terms of your mental processes, I'm telling you, people, it can't hurt. It can't hurt. All that being said, look, I'm out on a limb there yesterday, and I mentioned the King Crimson thing because there's a line in the song that actually applies to the politics of today. And this is a record that came out over 50 years ago. I mean, I think I picked this thing up in like 1970. So, 50 years ago, 52 years ago, these guys are writing lyrics in a song that say, our fate, my friends, I fear, is in the hands of fools. And is it not? I mean, look what's going on politically. My God, no matter what side you're on, you're looking and going, who are these people? How stupid can they fucking be? It's nuts, right?
Exactly.
How dumb can they be? I mean, fighting over nothing. I mean, all of this rhetoric, and nobody ever accomplishes anything because the right doesn't want to do this and the left doesn't want to do that. And no matter what side you're on, I mean, although, I don't understand the Trumpsters. I really don't. Do we get it? I don't know. Is it just, do we want to have like a racist, fascist society? Yeah, I guess that would be a good direction to go in.
Why not?
Matt Gates or whatever his name is it Getz?
I would pronounce it Gates. I don't know.
I mean, how the hell do these people get elected in the first place? Unless it's a reflection of what we think. Marco Rubio, a stooge, has been a senator twice. He's running for a third term, and he's probably going to win.
Is that the face?
There it is. Oh, yeah. There I am last night watching the Serena match.
I can't get it to cover the whole thing yet. But
just speed that up the whole show. Put that back up for the whole segment here. I mean, I think it's appropriate.
Jesus.
Our fate, my friends, is in the hands of fools. I fear it's in the hands of fools, and I feel like a fool today. I really do. I not much. I mean, look, I don't dwell on this sort of thing because what are you going to do? You turn the page. Look, you lose a race. I gave Mayo a horse the other day. I said, look at that 7 on the track here. Why don't I send that out to Mike Mayo? The 7's going to win the next at Saratoga. Ran dead last, right? So what does Mayo say? Lose my number, which is appropriate. And, I guess you people could be saying the same thing. There's no way I saw Serena Williams getting past 2 rounds of this tournament. I never saw her getting out of the first round. And I would have to say this. I will salute Serena Williams for the comeback she made in the third set of that match against Kontaveet, who is from Estonia, is ranked number 2 in the world, but really hasn't been playing like a number 2 player in the world. Far from it. I think she had COVID. the story goes, and her results of late have not been particularly favorable. So here's a vulnerable number 2 seed. Now, if you look at the tournament in general, everybody's vulnerable because of the top seeds. I would say of the top 20, probably 5 are already gone. I mean, the number 3 seed is out. Simona Halep got eliminated. I don't know where she was. I think she might have been number 7. Maria Sakkari, who is a Greek girl who looks like she should be great, but has been losing lately. Early in all tournaments, usually gets through the first round, sometimes even knocked out in the first. She's gone, and many others have already fallen by the wayside there. So the women's draw a little bit more wide open, although you still have as many stars left in the women's draw, including Coco Gauff, who won again yesterday and is moving to the third round. You have Iga Swiatek, who is number 1 in the world, but is only 4-4, or was 4-4 going into the U.S. Open in her last 8 matches after winning 37 in a row. 37 in a row. So, it wasn't like Serena was in against the slouch yesterday, and the first set goes to a tiebreaker. You have to figure, I don't know, if the crowd can will you to a victory in the first one, the 7 win by 2 tiebreaker. They certainly didn't hurt Serena's chances since 23,870, including Tiger Woods.
Yeah, where was Tiger? I'm like, Tiger? Jesus.
He doesn't go out of his way to honor anybody, right? If it isn't about him, he's not there. There I go, ragging on Tiger Woods now.
I'm like, this isn't good. I'm like, Defo may be in trouble. Like, I was rooting you on hard. I was watching the whole second half of that match, and I'm like, oh, if Tiger's there.
I thought after the second set, when she went to the bathroom, that Serena was going to come out and say no mas. I really did. I thought we were going to see Roberto come out there himself, Duran, honest to Pietro, hands of stone, and just say, you know what? Let's not even play this third set. People, I love you. Thank you. Right? And that's it. Maybe play a little exhibition against Venus, to clean things up there, fill in some time before Medvedev took the court. But essentially, sayonara, see you later, Serena Williams. So I'll give it to her, man. She rallied. She played great in the third set. The other girl wasn't horrible. Kontaveit, wasn't terrible. She doesn't have really a great serve. And so that was advantageous to Serena Williams. But Serena, who wasn't able to move like an inch in any of her previous matches going into the U.S. Open, and really, I mean, she did look like Butter Benesh in that first match against Kovanic. It wasn't moving at all. If the girl moved her off her spot, that was it. She was, flailing away and ready to stumble and fall down. But she bounced back. I don't know. Did she get juiced up with something? Was Victor Conti waiting for her in the men's room there, or the women's room?
I saw the tail end of the second set. That's when I started watching. So I was like, oh, shoot, the Serena match is on. And I saw that it was close, so I put it on. She didn't look good in that second set. So I'm like, all right, cool.
No,
look at Defo. Kontaveit's coming on. Cool. Tough first set. Win second. She'll cruise in the third. Bye, Serena. And then the third set happened, and I'm like, what is going on?
Well, it became a better story, the whole thing. I will say that. And her third round matchup is against also a fairly nondescript opponent. I was looking at that. Whomever she was going to meet in the third round, and I think the woman's name is like Rudy Tomjanovich or something. Not even sure. I've seen her play, but I couldn't tell you anything about this woman in the third round. She's like ranked somewhere in the top 50, but right there, like 45, 46. And obviously has been able to win 2 matches in the U.S. Open herself. So, that's a little bit of a distinction. I don't know that it's going to be an easier match for Serena or more difficult than Kontaveit, who at the end of the second set, you thought, wow, this is in the bag, man. She's breaking Serena every time. Serena's big weapon is her serve. Yeah. We know that Serena probably is going to be extremely vulnerable defensively since she's put on 100 pounds since she first won the U.S. Open in 1999. That was her first victory. Think about that, 23 years ago.
That's crazy.
She won the tournament. Now, we're seeing longevity on the men's side, and we're seeing a little bit more longevity on the women's side than we used to when girls would play at 16, win a championship, and then be out of the game by 20.
Yep. That
isn't happening so much anymore, although Ash Barty, who was number 1 in the world, quit the game at like 25 or 26. I think that was it. She just said, that's it. I don't want any more, traveling and all this stuff. I got enough money, live the rest of my life. And many people were thinking maybe Serena should have done the same thing because you don't want to see an athlete out there looking like a bum. I mean, it killed me when my man, Danny Little Red Lopez, came back 4 or 5 years after he should have retired. He had already been knocked out twice by Salvador Sanchez in brutal fashion. And 6 years later, he's fighting at some armory in Bakersfield. And you're thinking, Danny, what are you doing? I mean, just no one to throw it in the towel. I mean, with boxers, sometimes that they need one more payday. Maybe they've been hit in the head so many times they really believe that they can do it again. Alexis Arguello coming back for his second fight with Aaron Pryor. Did we need to see that, Lubie? Did we need to see Muhammad Ali go down to the Bahamas and fight Trevor Berbick? No.
Oh, no.
We knew the guy was finished, that he had no chance. And that's sort of, a syndrome that you don't like to see happen to and be exhibited by people like Serena Williams, who you just don't want to see her go out there and look like a bum, right?
Yep.
If you're a fan, I mean, even if you don't like Serena Williams, I mean, you want to remember her for her brilliance as a tennis player.
Yes.
And maybe less so for. I did get agreement yesterday, Lubie. We had on our podcast, our Believe podcast, the brilliant John Feinstein. And Feinstein, of course, has covered many, many sports in greater detail than a lot of people, including tennis, where he had the book out called Hard Courts. I think that might have been the follow up to Season on the Brink, which was his breakthrough entry into sports journalism on the highest of levels. John Feinstein, when he followed Bobby Knight around and got complete access to Indiana basketball in a year where things weren't going so well for Bobby Knight, and it couldn't have been a more entertaining or any better portrayal of what was going on. Feinstein, now world-renowned, has written 100 books, including A Good Walk Spoiled, and we got into the live golf thing with Feinstein a little bit. And also, naturally, he had thoughts on Serena. He agreed with me. The first person to actually acknowledge that, hey, you know what? This is not a perfect person here. All of the time, everybody always thought Tiger Woods was the greatest guy. Meanwhile, he was completely mistreating people like his whole life. And was the direct antithesis of what we thought he was as a person. And yet you couldn't get these golf announcers or analysts to say anything negative about, no matter what it was that he did. He could take a 9-iron and throw it at some woman's head for taking a picture of him. And everybody go, well, there's the competitive fire of Tiger. Like, no, there's an asshole. Come on, say what it is. And that's what happened with Serena. And that's kind of how I soured on Serena when I was watching all of this sore losing stuff, including I believe, if you trace back the whole thing with Naomi Osaka, now obviously this is on Osaka, but when Serena completely tarnished her victory in the U.S. Open by beating her, I mean, Osaka wins in the final at the U.S. Open a few years back, and Serena just made a complete farce of it. And stole the moment from a young girl who was having her first moment of brilliance. You would figure that Serena would be the first to acknowledge, wow, this is great. This could be a launching pad for a brilliant career for Naomi. She played brilliantly today. Instead, she's like, what, are you kidding me? Did you see these line calls? I should have won that. I mean, very Trumpian. All the things we hate about, well, not all the things. I wouldn't go that far. Serena's, not in that category. But, I mean, all the things that we don't like about a person being, as we've been mentioning, I mean, this word has popped up frequently, a complete asshole. She exhibited that. And, people wrote it off and said, oh, well, when she threatened that line judge, she was really fighting for women's rights.
No, she's being an ass.
Holy Marco Rubio, what are you looking at here?
She's being a jerk off.
Being an asshole. She's being a completely disgruntled, disgraced person who has no grace or class or dignity whatsoever, even though we want to attribute all of these wonderful things to her. I mean, guess what? They're not there. I mean, you're looking at a perfect example of somebody just being a complete buffoon and, going against everything that you ever thought about this person. So when she's representing some car company or pretending that she's eating Subway sandwiches to maintain her physique, I'm not buying it anymore because she's full of shit. And that's what you don't like in a person. Now, people will say, "Oh, you're a bitter old Jew because you lost a pick."
You were like this before the bed.
I don't know. I tired of everybody kissing Serena's ass, even though she's great. But I'm not blind. Is she the best female tennis player of all time? I'm a giant Martina fan. We all loved Chris Everett. I mean, there've been so much. Steffi Graf was great. I mean, almost impossible to beat. Mentally as tough as anybody that you've ever seen. I mean, I go all the way back to like Billie Jean King. I mean, yeah, that's a lot. And yet you could easily say that and not feel even the slightest bit of doubt that your opinion was right on the money, that Serena was the greatest female tennis player of all time.
Yeah.
and among the greatest tennis players of all time, and among the greatest athletes of all time. No
Yes.
question.
Yes.
I'm not dumb enough to denounce all of that. And at the same time, the other element that's in play, which Feinstein was on to also there, Lubie,
Yes.
getting agreement from somebody that we know has a brain.
He covers this stuff, and he's unbiased. He's
Well,
very.
it helps me. Yeah, I mean, it helps me feel better about my position here because everybody thinks I'm just being a jerk. Now, you know what? Now that she's won a couple of matches, she may as well go ahead and win the whole thing because it's a better story. I don't know that that's going to happen. I doubt it 100%. I would bet even her odds dropped from 50 to 1 to win a tournament to 30 to 1 after winning the opening round, which I found surprising because after watching an opening round match, I gave her even less of a chance of winning the tournament, even though she was already past one round. She still has to win 5 more matches at escalating higher levels of competition.
He's not winning the tournament. I'll join you in that one. I sort of stayed out of the you and Segredo thing because I just thought it was hysterical that Segredo made literally the entire hour about your distaste for Serena. But she's not winning the tournament. Like, I'll go all in on that. Like, I don't see her. It's just
How
too
could
much.
she win the tournament? What are
She
you
looked
kidding me?
tired. Like, I thought you were being a little exaggerative talking about her physique, and then I'm watching that last night. I'm like, oh, she doesn't look good at all. I mean, she looks nothing. And I was like, come on. And I was rooting against her just because I've been doing this long enough with you where I'm ready to see her go. And she looked gassed. She looked gassed. I'm like, okay, how is she going to do that? And it's every other day. It's not like you get a week off. Like, it's every
No.
other day. Like, I don't
Well, and
think
she's playing doubles now too, which I don't know that that's as taxing as
and she has no
obviously
days
not
off.
quite as difficult as a singles match. I believe at the most they play 2 sets, and then if it's 1-1 in the doubles matches, they go to a 10-point tiebreaker. So it's not like you're busting your butt out there and going to be exhausted from playing doubles. Although they play a high level of doubles, it doesn't look like the games that you
It's
see
open.
out at the park. With like 4 80-year-old ladies that are hitting a ball and nobody's past the service line, to retrieve anything. I'll give her credit though; she did play a dynamite third set. There's no question. Could have easily lost that by the condition that she was in and the way she had played leading up to the U.S. Open. That's a stone loser on the quality alone of the third set, and she was the one that exhibited the vastly superior quality over Kontaveit, who, as we said, it's kind of a fugazi number 2 ranking because she hasn't been playing like somebody that's at the top of the women's tennis world. You might say that about Swiatek lately, but how do you denounce somebody who won 7 straight tournaments or whatever that was, 6 or 7, and 37 consecutive matches against the highest caliber of competition? She's 4-4 since then. Now I guess 5-4 since she won her opening round match. But I don't know. I mean, I don't see Serena playing at that level, but we'll find out if she can sustain it. Who's this Rudy Tomjanovic chick that she's playing in the third round? Is that the same Tomjanovic that got nailed by Kermit Washington when he was playing for the Rockets? Remember that? I happened to be watching that game that night. Can you imagine that, Louis? I'm watching. I lived in L.A. I'm watching Kermit Washington just turn around, and it seemed accidental, and the guy was crucified for it his whole life. I mean, he just kind of turned around and threw a punch out there, and it was one of those things where Tomjanovic literally ran right into a left hook.
It happens.
Nearly died, and did come back and play more basketball, but wow, I mean, and that was funny, to see at the time because you didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was, and you're looking at a basketball fight. Normally, you would figure something along the lines of Grandmama there and Alonzo Mourning, right? Larry Johnson.
Yeah, basketball fights are always disappointing.
Stupid, yeah. They don't do anything. Why would you fight when you're making $50 million a year? Exactly. Hey, leave me alone, man. Don't touch me. I don't mess with your money. You don't mess with mine.
Exactly.
Get out of here. All right, so it turned out to be a good night. I mean, that was a surprise. I would have to say that put a nice little exclamation point on the Serena story because she was looking so horrible going into this thing. You thought, why is she doing this to herself? Why suffer the indignity of looking like a farce out there when, you could just go out and say, hey, I'm retiring. That's it. Now, you want one more swan song there, U.S. Open. Maybe you believe in your heart of hearts you have a chance to win. That's all good. You can't take that away from her. Whatever she did, this Renee Stubbs took over her coaching from our man, Patrick Mouratoglou. She dumped Mouratoglou, who was working with Simona Halep, who got knocked out in the first round, although had just won a title I believe, in Toronto in the previous tournament, and had shown great improvement in her comeback efforts, and looked far better equipped to make it into the third round of the U.S. Open than Serena Williams did.
Serena.
But Renee Stubbs, who was having dinner, believe it or not that long ago, like 2-3 nights ago, before the first Serena match, with the lovely and talented Leslie Visser.
Really? Nice.
LV was hanging out with Stubbs, with McEnroe, and a bunch of other tennis legends.
Oh, she's at the U.S. Open? She's up there?
I think she came back before the thing got started. She was at a party for Mary Carrillo.
Okay.
Who was having some kind of small gathering of her favorite people, and naturally they all happened to come from the tennis, tennis world, and so she was hanging out there with Stubbs, and I guess got the skinny on Serena, and I don't know. I mean, is there some kind of transformation? Because Serena was in far better shape than she's been for any of her previous matches. She may look large, but she was in far better shape, and she wasn't nearly as gassed as she has been even in the first set of other matches.
She was getting after balls. Look, here's the deal. And I've been around you and now even Segredo, that the story is something I guess I consider, because I remember watching that last night rooting against her. And I'm like, the reality is I will not watch the rest of this tournament if she loses. But I'm not going to lie. If she wins, I for sure will watch Fry. Even with all the football on, I will have an eye toward that match. So story-wise, it's 100% better if she wins. Like,
no doubt. Yeah.
All night I'm watching Twitter, and that's all people are talking about was tennis. And I don't remember that for like a decade. Like, it's been a long time where people were watching tennis on like prime time.
Since I'm a fan, I like things that are good for the game. So, and promote the idea that, hey, watch this stuff. It's incredible. Because, one of McEnroe's arguments many years ago, and I remember reading this and thinking, does he really have a case here? He was so upset that the press didn't necessarily consider tennis players to be athletes. When they talked about athletes, they were talking about guys in track and field and baseball and football and all of this, but they rarely considered tennis players to be athletes. And if you look at what you have to do to play tennis at the highest level, being athletic certainly is a gigantic necessity.
Tennis.
You don't see guys that look like Daniel Vogelbach of the Mets out there, competing with Roger Federer in his prime.
Bagdatis might have been the biggest dude I've ever seen. And even Bagdatis wasn't fat. He just was a little bigger. Like, you're not going to be a big dude and play tennis.
Bagdatis is a good name to bring up, because nobody had hotter girlfriends than that guy Bagdatis, who was an okay player. He had decent results. He was a very clever player, Bagdatis.
Yes.
He had skill, obviously, but he was very clever in his strategies and his use of a variety of shots, even though he wasn't going to go out there and overwhelm people. And he had a pretty nice run there for a while.
Yes.
But the hottest, I mean, I was it one girlfriend, and she very suspect in terms of age. She was borderline. Jailbait, this woman.
She was of age.
I don't know. She was like 16 years old, I think, this chick that was in the stand. Gorgeous, though. I remember that. I don't know if he still sustained and, perpetuated this relationship with her, but man, was that a hottie. Unbelievable. The tennis girlfriends are right up there. Golf, you would have to say. Beach volleyball, hockey.
No, tennis. I don't know if anyone competes with a tennis. Kornikova was legendary, but like even the Schmanks, like Pavel Bure was like a top 5 player in hockey at that point. Like Taylor Fritz, I know you know him, and he's coming out.
Yeah.
I never know. Most people wouldn't have heard of Taylor Fritz. That woman is ridiculous.
Sick, yeah.
Like, at least Koepka was winning majors, like
there's another guy from Great Britain named Evans, and they keep showing this babe, and you're thinking that can't be his girlfriend, man. That's got to be somebody that is on the cover of every magazine in Europe.
And Murray looked like he was a buffoon until he became really big, and he from the beginning he had women that were. I remember him having.
I think he had one steady girlfriend the entire time.
She was great. They all are pretty. They do well. Tennis.
Joker, yeah. They all do. It's not like Nadal's chick is, anything that you wouldn't, mind being with. Well, how do we get into this? That's pretty sick from Serena.
Have to side with Bagdatis.
How does the husband feel? What does Serena's husband do?
But he's like a billionaire. So
he's a billionaire.
Yeah. Because I remember her. Didn't she get with her best friend / the person she hit balls with? Like, that's who I thought she was with. And then the professor was like, no. She got with like the founder of Reddit. I'm like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, he's like a billionaire. Like,
oh, okay. So he's not just following her around, some bum that she picked up at a bar and marries Serena, and all of a sudden finds himself, in the midst of this world.
No, it's like the
Right?
Brady situation where his wife's actually done just as well, if not better.
Okay, all right, makes some sense. Because it'll be. I was thinking, what's it like to just come and watch Serena play?
Be the house
And then
husband.
Serena doesn't strike me as a type that's taken a lot of shit off of a guy.
No. I never said that he rules a roost. I'm just
Yeah.
saying he holds his own. He's not just some like house hubby or whatever.
Because it's all about Serena. And yesterday, I mean, certainly well deserved. I mean, nobody thought she was gonna. This was George Foreman coming in and knocking out Michael Moorer after
That's what it
taking a
felt like.
beating for like 10 rounds. And you're thinking, there's no way you can't lose this fight, Michael. Never forget that when I was flying to Atlantic City to do some fights with the crowd there from the Hard Rock, Warriors Boxing. They're putting on these very, very, lavish pay-per-view affairs for fighters that didn't necessarily, merit that level of attention. Okay, so they have a heavyweight title fight. Shannon Briggs, who was completely shot. Shannon Briggs,
Was he shot yet? No, not then.
completely shot at that time
Even
for this
then,
fight. In fact, I'll never forget this because I was hanging out with Leon Margulies and somebody else. We were walking on the boardwalk there the day of the fight, and Leon gets a call, and you can hear somebody screaming on the other end. Leon is promoting the fight, and you can hear this guy just psychotically screaming on the other end of the phone. Even though he had the phone in his ear, I mean, it was loud enough. And the other guy that was with us says, that's Shannon Briggs. He's trying to back out of the fight. And he fought just like that. I don't think he threw a punch. Sultan Ibragimov was the house fighter. I cleverly called him as a new Sultan of SWAT after the fight was over. I thought it was pretty good.
That's great.
But I'll never forget. I mean, you're watching a guy go into the ring that you already know from the afternoon. If you were a betting man,
He doesn't want
not
to be
that I
there.
had any money on this. I think Ibragimov might have been a slight underdog. That the other guy's out of his mind and has no desire to jump in the ring and is going to do everything in his power. If they didn't threaten to withdraw the money out of his bank account right away,
Exactly.
this guy's eating saltwater taffy on the boardwalk and looking for the best place to get a slice of pizza instead of being in the ring that night. But anyway, I mean, look, I have to give her all the credit in the world. That's all you can do. I mean, that made for a much better story. I'm glad she won the first night because it really would have looked awful if she, fell on her face while she was chasing down a backhand and, ended up being peeled off the mat, literally, and then had to be carried over to the chair. And then they had this big ceremony about how wonderful she was. That would have been ugly. But put that face up again because that's how I feel. Our fate is in the hands of fools. If you're listening to guys like me denouncing Serena's chances in this tournament, I would bet against her in the next round, wouldn't you? I don't even know. I've never seen this Tomjanovich play. There it is.
That's a scary ass face.
That was me last night. King Crimson in the court of the Crimson King. That may as well have been a center court there at Arthur Ashe Stadium, the court of the Crimson King. All right, enough on that. So I lose a dinner to Segredo. Serena wins. Good story. It makes for entertaining TV, does it not? I don't know. Do you want to see Medvedev beat up on some qualifier? No. I mean, that's going to be... And in the men's 3 out of 5 sets, especially when it's a blowout mismatch, who wants to see the third set between two guys? There have been plenty of upsets. I mean, the parity in tennis, it's interesting, actually, that Serena could even be a part of it because not only has the level escalated of play in women's tennis all the way down. I mean, it used to be a couple of, women were really top-notch players, and then the rest were, pretty much window dressing. But that's not the case anymore. So, it's a very competitive field, even in the first and second round. And Serena Williams is able to hang there at 40 with these other girls. So something, there's some merit to all of that. Would you agree, Lubie? I'll give her credit for that.
Yeah.
What is it? This crow tastes like shit.
I know. Mayo, I'm like, Defo has to be watching this, so he must just be ignoring it. Mayo was, and he doesn't even have the bet, so I don't know why he was all in, but he was.
He lives vicariously through my losing wagers. He really does.
I'm like,
I respect that about Mayo, though. I really do. I mean, I don't know that he was rooting for me to lose, but it's a
Yeah,
better, it's a better deal for the show if I'm dead wrong. Let's face it.
I guess. I was just like, why are you
I'm not wrong about where she's at as a player. She's not as good as she was. Let's face it. You couldn't expect her to be.
Retiring.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was done.
I don't know that she's Archie Moore, though, after that. And, even if she loses badly in the next match, she distinguished herself as being worthy of being in the field by beating this Kontaveit last night. Now, has everything going her way? And did somebody accompany her into the ladies' room from the USDA? There's the question for you. Never mind the FBI's probe of Mar-a-Lago. I want to get J. Edgar Hoover back from the grave and trying to figure out what the hell did they inject into Serena to have her put together that third set when it looked like she was ready to fall flat on her face after set number 2. And what do you think? She really had to pee? No. Why is she going to the bathroom for 10 minutes? Change her outfit? Now, players do that. I mean, it's not uncommon, and many people figure it's a stall tactic. Right? Who is it that uses that the most? Is it Djokovic? Just disappears for like 20 minutes? Nadal?
I know Nadal messes around. Nadal futzes a lot. Yeah, Nadal's a big.
Yeah, Nadal. See, Nadal is getting in a cab outside the stadium there, and heading downtown to get a slice of pizza, while the opponent is sitting there with his legs shaking, trying to figure out how the hell am I going to beat Rafa in a 5-setter? It's impossible, right? Especially if he's allowed to leave after each set for 20 minutes at a time.
Get the massage.
Was Lance Armstrong hanging around the stadium there? What do you think? That Asian doctor that he had?
Tiger was there. Tiger was there. I mean,
Tiger was there. Was Dr. Galea, accompanying Tiger? Is he in the country? Or is he in prison? Where's Galea?
I don't know.
Tiger's personal physician.
There it is. See, Mayo just said it. Exactly.
The fix is in. I believe the fix is in on this. I mean, they set up that first match. They couldn't dodge setting up the second match. But if you looked ahead, I forget what the matchup was with Tomljanovic, who survived this one. But you're looking and go, wow, Serena really, if she wins this somehow, isn't facing much of a challenge in the third round. Not much more of a challenge than you would have considered the first round matchup was. So it's not like she's going against a series of heavyweights, as you sometimes see, where, somebody has to beat the top players in the world in successive matches, 3-4 in a row to get to the quarterfinal. And you're like, wow, what a run. So we'll see. It's made for a good story. Look, it'll give you some Friday night viewing if you have nothing to do tomorrow night. And I would imagine that'll be the 7 o'clock match again with Serena Williams center court. And it's good because it's that whole spirit of Jimmy Connors. I mean, what was that, 1999 that Jimmy had that run? That was also the same year Serena won her first U.S. Open, 1999. So that was a great year. Maybe there's some symmetry to it. I mean, history repeating itself only in a little bit of a reverse order, where now it's Serena that is the one that is the older, embraced player that everybody loves all of a sudden. Well, people always like Serena. I was one of the few.
It was 92. Connors was 92.
Oh, 92. Okay, I wrote down 99.
I don't think Connors and Serena crossed over. The Sampras one is the one I'm thinking about. I think that was late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. Been a lot of good. I mean, it's been a great tournament. I mean, the action so far, fantastic, and the Serena story has illuminated it even further. So, for that, I'm very happy. All right, I do have it here, Lubie. I have it right here, the documents that you were looking for, and that is a series of questions for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. No gurgles. And look, I went to work last night, Lubie. You see all that? That's just one page of like several here. Nice. And look, it's labeled Top Secret. Top secret, because nobody was supposed to see these questions, hermetically sealed before we unveil them on the show. So if you'd like to play the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, Lubie has a Landlubbers gift certificate for you. By the way, speaking of Mayo, a sensational job yesterday.
Yeah,
Paul and Phil, and of course Gail and Harry. They loved the show. You got a chance to catch it, and they apologize for not being able to come out there. La Spada's original hoagies, 5 locations. We were at the Lauderdale by the Sea, which essentially is the original location, although it's not in the original location.
Yeah.
And you see how that goes. I mean, look, property values and everything, and rents. And anyway, they weren't able to keep the original place, and I'm glad they don't have it anymore. Even though it had a lot of character, it didn't have a lot of room.
No, this one feels bigger than the other one.
Isn't that interesting? The story about how they started throwing the meats up in the air and then catching it right on the bread.
I love it.
Was because there wasn't enough room in the kitchen there where they were making the sandwiches to pass each other all the time. So they started throwing this stuff, and they became expert. Like the Sky Hook has nothing on any Laspada's meat cutter. Guy calls like from 5 yards away. Hey, I need a roast beef top, and it goes flying in the air, and it lands right on top of the sandwich, and you're going, there was already enough meat on there. It was incredible.
Exactly.
Anyway, Mayo made a milestone achievement yesterday. 51 sandwiches this cat had in the span of a month. 51 different sandwiches. Now, yesterday he slowed down. He looked like Serena in the second set.
Yes, he did. He did. He annihilated the first two.
Shoveled a meatball sub in his face.
And then the last three. Like sweat.
The last three, he's like, with the pinky up going. While he's painting a picture of me as if I was some drooling septuagenarian.
Exactly.
Incapable of feeding myself. He's only giving me 2 years to live, so I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good, Mike, I have to say. But I was feeling good about my Serena bet also. All right, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. To get involved, all you have to do is call 954-417-0070.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the job of Gurgles today, which I don't do very well. I mean, Gurgles is brilliant. Polyman.
Polyman's the best.
Polyman's great, man. Polyman. A sick mind the Polyman has. I don't know how he used to come up with all these questions, but he did it, in brilliant fashion for over 25 years, as was the case with Gurgles. The tradition continues, courtesy of Hialeah Park, which is a great place to go. And what a Labor Day weekend it's going to be. Why not win some money on Labor Day weekend? Head on down to Hialeah Park. Win, lose, or draw. It's always a good time, but a lot of people are coming out of there. Big smiles on their face. That's one thing you don't see as commonly at Hialeah Park as you do in other casinos in town here. And that is, put that face up again. That
face. We don't have rights to it.
Doesn't matter, All right, so if we get sued, look, what's the worst they could do? Send a cease.
No, you have to pay money to people. I've already had it happen to me.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All right, don't put it up again.
I need to get us subscriptions and stuff. But there's your face. Look,
casino face. That's known as casino face. Also. These guys were way ahead of their time. They pretty much described everything in one album cover. King Crimson. I don't know whoever made that album cover should be like the all-time greatest artist over Michelangelo. And it is true, the second most popular name to be discussed when traveling in Italy. Michelangelo comes up all the time, right? You would think Michelangelo, he built everything in the whole city. This guy was one busy cat, wasn't he? And he was supposed to be an irascible, old grumpy type. I don't know. Maybe those are the type that are, comprised with genius or, have inherent genius. And Vito Infermo, the only other name that comes up there. Anyway, casino face is not something, and we don't want to get sued. And Hialeah Park had nothing to do with that, by the way. If you're like some greedy lawyer out there, ambulance chaser on trademark rights.
Yes.
I mean, why shouldn't we be allowed to violate all trademark rights?
We have to pay for it. It's fine.
Image and likeness. Baloney, man. Go call Nick Saban. You want more money. Hialeah Park. I mean, just fantastic because you don't see people looking sour like that or scared or just frightened out of their mind that they're not going to be able to pay their bills because they're in there with a shot to win. Whether you're playing their Vegas-style games, and they have them all, whether it's blackjack, craps, roulette, they have varieties of those. They have all the great slot machines, great food and drink, great atmosphere, good vibe. Players Card gives you all kinds of rich rewards. I mean, it's one of the best programs you'll find in any casino setting and environment anywhere. And then they have the Champion Simulcasting Room, final weekend of Saratoga, Toga, right? Can't believe that's already gone by. Wow. We were just celebrating the start of that. What? 2 months ago, Libby. But it's flown by, and the time is just going by. So don't waste any time getting down to Hialeah Park. Make sure you make plans to be there over the weekend. It's going to be fantastic. Open Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday night this week with the holiday till 5 a.m. and then 3 a.m. Tonight. Go there tonight. You can watch all the college football games that are getting underway. Of course, next week starts the NFL. They have TV screens everywhere. And you can gamble and drink and have a good time, eat some great food, all at very, very reasonable prices. It's a fantastic place. Beautiful. Hialeah Park. Still looks great, too. I mean, Dennis Testa, wow. Should he not be the official groundskeeper of the NFL? What's the guy's name? George Tomei?
Oh, good.
Toma, I mean, whatever that guy's
name. That name, but I don't know who that
is. He's like the head groundskeeper, right? Like he could take the grass right now in California, where it's 112 degrees in Bakersfield, and turn it green overnight. So that Walter Payton could carve a path to greatness through the green grass of California. That's the kind of groundskeeper this guy is. Testa is right there in that category. All right, dial us up if you want to play. We'll play as many as we can and do this thing for, well, until about 8:30 or so. The Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, 954-417-0070. Later on, and he's off the circuit today, Mike Mayo. He will be with us, and that's going to happen at 12 o'clock. Does he give a full recap, Lubie, of the 51 sandwich quest that he was on? I mean, what an adventure.
I just want what he says, and I don't want to be derisive because outside of that one sandwich, I think he enjoyed really every sandwich, but I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Of the really good, what rose to the top? I'm just curious, not to call out anyone negatively, just what is his top 10? Like, that's what I'm curious about.
I would have to say this. It was very interesting. I mean, if you follow the show, it was very interesting to hear from all of the people and their stories.
I love the owners.
Especially in the sandwich mode. I mean, that was kind of the direction that we were in at a lot of the locations we were at, especially the last 3 days, right? And we were out there with the food truck, Chefery. That was fantastic. And he's kind of a burger guy, but he had a wide variety of stuff over there at the Broski Cider Works. Yep. And then the top round, that was fascinating. That story of Dave and how he got going with the thing. And they do various extrapolations off a theme, and they have influences from all over the country. Yep. And you don't even think about these things, right? You're going in there to get a freaking sandwich. Yeah. And then Las Patas, of course, has a great story, and they've been fantastic and around for, I think, 47 years. So that was a great way to wrap things up. I didn't have anything that wasn't sensational. Tom Tanazzini came through like a champ up there with that muffaletta, although I never got a piece of that. That was another one of those sandwiches that Mayo slimed like right away. Yeah. Is that how you lay claim to things? He would have been good in a gold rush, Mayo.
I don't know. He's good. His brother must have.
My land. Listen, you Indians, out of here.
His brother, so as an adult, he's a mild-mannered dude, but he must have ordered food or something because Mayo has a weird complex about how he eats and the fact that, when I grew up, my mom would always say, my grandma would say this, no one's going to take it from you. I feel like no one did that with him. I feel like they did try to take it from him.
He hovers over the table, too. Did he do that when he was a food critic? I mean, imagine he's in some, 5-star restaurant there that says world renowned, and the chef's on hand there, and he comes out to the table and he sees Mayo hunched over the plate, shoveling this stuff, spaghetti, whatever it was.
It doesn't matter.
We love Mike, man. He is a character. You got to say. I mean, the degenerate's degenerate too. I mean, you ask him as a gen, he's like, "Well, I'm going to go eat again a couple of more times, and I'm going to go play poker. I'm going to bet some highlight, and then I'm going to be on the phone app all night betting races from New Zealand." I'm like, how do you not love this guy?
He fits right in. That's why he's the other show.
I knew he was perfect. I just there was a thing about Mayo I always liked. Now that I know him, I don't know. Do I like it any less? No. I mean, no, it's great.
I adore him.
One of the funniest ducks you'll run across. There's no question. But I think he secretly, relates to my Serena theory more so than the Segredo pie in the sky.
I think he's happy to not be the irascible one for once. Segredo makes fun of you, but you're really not that. We just make fun of things. But outside of Serena Saban, you're not bitter.
No,
that's Mayo's role.
Yeah.
So for once to not be that person, I think he's enjoying it. Where he's the positive one and you're being the negative one.
I never got it though when sportscasters were bitter about every aspect of sport.
Yeah, I hate that.
Because I mean, it was enjoyable to watch this thing, whether you were rooting for Serena to lose every point or not, and especially if you had some money on it. And think about this: you were getting plus 170 with Serena last night. So imagine how joyful those people were when she went to the bathroom.
They're like, thank God. Go.
Like, go take a piss, Serena. Do something.
Do something.
You're going down. 6-2 in the second set, and it was an embarrassing 6-2. It included a break by Serena, which that was a blowout. This girl broke Serena's serve 6 times. All of a sudden, you're looking at her. She was huffing and puffing there. She looked like she needed oxygen, and she disappears for 10 minutes. Comes back, a different player. Like she had shaved 20 years off her life.
Exactly.
And Tiger's in the stands? Coincidence?
Definitely not.
Did anybody see him during that bathroom break? Exactly. He's got some of that juice. All right, we're coming back with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here in a moment. Dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. And we'll be right back after these words from our fine sponsors in a moment. Now that.
The time.
I just got that message. Okay, we're going to have to hustle here. It's 7:50. In style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now 1.8 miles. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici just switched the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
Underappreciated for being a classic on-air performer, the Polyman Paul Massell, to whom we dedicate this edition of the game. No, he did not check out, at least as far as I know. I don't know. Would I know if he checked out, Libby? What do you think?
I would hope we'd find out. But
when would we get word?
I'm presuming no news is good news in the Polyman category.
It took a while to confirm, and people were afraid to confirm the passing of Vito when he passed away. Which was out of nowhere. I mean, the guy was strong as an axe, and he checked out from working out too hard because it turned out, I guess, to pump blood through that body, that massive physique of his. I mean, you would have had to have a heart the size of Serena's rear end. There I go. Segreto, by the way, I mean, there's a little bit of rat in Segreto. Don't think that he's all pureness and positivity and light. He loves digging it in there a little bit. I mean, the ball of Serena's last shot had not even hit the ground yet, and he was already texting me.
Oh, I didn't hear from him. I was just gonna say I was impressed that I didn't hear from him. That's interesting that he did text you.
No, I mean he didn't say a word until it was over, but just as it was ending. I mean, I guess if you went to Zapruder film and you compared the timeline of his text versus when that last shot landed. His text that was sent when that ball was launched. At, what time is dinner?
You should have just said legendary, like for Roadhouse.
He could have been like the real Segreto that we know and love, or the one that we think we know and love, and said, Tief, I mean, look, I knew you were wrong, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's not saying that.
He was right on top of it. That's the way that went. All right. We're going to feature David Furones, who covers the Dolphins for the Sun-Sentinel, speaking of Mike Mayo and all of these guys. Jim Sarney, by the way, says this Tomjanovich, which I guess, is that how you say it? Is it like Rudy?
It's spelled like it's Tomjanovich.
There's an L in there. There's an L in there, which makes it like...
Yeah.
Right? I mean, do you factor that L in there? Because Sarney, being a journalist, would naturally have her name spelled correctly. Whereas I would have just written down Rudy.
Exactly. I think it's.
I know. I've seen her, but I can't picture her at this point. Sarni says that she dated Kyrgios and the ultimate Italian stud Matteo Berrettini, who the polyman's great observation was. I don't imagine. Can I use like a word here that I normally wouldn't on the air on any capacity? But this was a quote from the polyman. I don't imagine that guy has a problem getting pussy. I mean, the guy's a stud, like a movie star. You talk about like the definitive Italian and a great athlete and a very, very gracious, good guy. You don't expect him to threaten some line judge with shoving a ball up her ass, like Serena did. All right, well, I want to get off that. All right, well, let's get to the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Yeah, we're ready to go with players. 954-417-0070. Dial us up. We use a random phone scrambler. And I won't lie to you because we only have like one phone line. Listen, you hear somebody hang up, call. I guess you can call, while there's somebody else on the line, right?
Want. We just can only talk to one person at a time, which is sort of how it works. So I'm communication. Call if you want. You will get
line up and be next because we're going to do this quickly and then get into a little David Feronis here on the Miami Dolphins. Although you might have to push them back till about 8:30 to get something done here. All right, here we go. And this is dedicated to the polyman Paul Marcel. He once said to me before he started doing any broadcasting with me, I always loved the guy and thought he had massive communication skills and potential. Even if you couldn't understand him, it didn't matter. The story was still funny. And he says to me, Defo, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to change my voice to be on the show. I said, don't change a thing, man. That is the show. That voice is classic, man. As evidenced by that brilliant performance on Solo Volante, who was written, of course, by the great Luca Panici. All right, here we go. Quotes. You guys have heard this one before, but let's face it, I was desperate at this point in time, and I just grabbed the first thing I could come across. When asked where all his money went after making millions as an international soccer star, this famous footballer said, I spent 90% of my money on women and booze, and the rest I wasted betting on the New York Knicks. Was that? It's odd that this guy would make a Nick reference. You think, Lubie? I mean, you wouldn't necessarily see that. George Best, Pete Best, Peter Graves, or Pete Incaviglia. And we'll roll the random phone scrambler to select our first player. Look at this. I mean, you talk about a surprise. Lenny the Chronic.
Good morning, guys. I love that Serena take today. That was hilarious.
And you know what? The outfit didn't strike me as much as it did when it really did look like they were going to introduce the fabulous Moolah to come out and play that opening round match.
Oh, God.
It's like, is this a tennis match or is it Gorgeous George making a comeback? What the hell's going on? You have 1 point. Was that an A, Lenny? I thought I heard you say.
He gave you an A.
Yeah, that was an A. That was an A.
He gave you an A.
Okay. All right. Here's a good one for you. And this was interesting because they had a little piece on this guy yesterday on Fox Sports 1 on their coverage of Saratoga, one of my favorites of all time. Got his start. I believe he started at Tampa Bay Downs, I think was the first place he called races. But that place was very obscure back then. And then his big move was to Hialeah Park. And he really launched his brilliant career. This is, of course, the great race caller Tom Durkin, who retired several years ago. So true or false, Lenny, when race caller Tom Durkin retired from his perch there with Naira, and this happened 8 years ago, I believe, maybe to the date yesterday. His last race call was from Saratoga. And oddly, true or false, Lenny, the winner of that race was a horse named Durkin's Call. True or false?
Let's go true.
No, that's false. There is a horse named Durkin's Call, and he ran yesterday at Saratoga, which is what made me think of that because they also had the feature on Tom Durkin. All right, you have one Lenny going for 4. Let's go to little Serena and Venus, all right?
Go.
Serena and Venus Williams have met 9 times in Grand Slam finals.
Yep.
9 times. Of those, how many has Serena won?
Oh, good.
5, 6, 7, or 8?
Let's go with 7.
Right on the money, Lenny.
Nice.
You know
I was
what?
gonna say 8.
Why did I feel that was a giveaway?
I was going to say
Well,
8.
let's not forget Venus was kind of ahead of Serena during some of those meetings. They were always very awkward matches, like that first round match was just awkward the whole way through. All right, good job, Lenny. 4, and you're going for 9 points here to set the pace. The Cardinals, I think you're going to get this one because you're a good baseball guy. The Cardinals' Paul Goldschmidt is in a position to win the National League Triple Crown this year. He leads the league in batting average, RBIs, and is second behind Kyle Schwarber in home runs. I think he's 3 back, though, so that might be a little tough to surpass him in the final month in that category. Miguel Cabrera is the last hitter to accomplish the feat of winning the Triple Crown as he led the American League in all 3 categories in 2012. Who was the last National League hitter to win a Triple Crown? Is the question here for 5 points, Lenny. Was that Barry Bonds, Joe Medwick, Chuck Klein, or Rogers Hornsby?
Oh, Jesus.
Let's go with, I think it's shot here. Chuck Klein.
No, it wasn't Chuck Klein. It was
Rogers.
Joe Medwick, right? Ducky Medwick. 1937, the last time it was done in the National League. Can you imagine that?
Nice try, Lenny. You may be in the final
90 years ago. All right, Lenny, you have a shot, though. 4 points. Not a bad start here. And you can dial us up if you want to play. 954. It's a little tougher doing all of this, at once here, Libby, especially with handwritten. I mean, look at this. This really is Trump document-esque. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. If Gurgles were here, he would want to tell you about Perdomo Cigars. And my knowledge of Perdomo Cigars dates way back to when I was on a red-eye flight back from Las Vegas. Nick Perdomo had just kind of started advertising a little bit on the radio. And I was at WIOD at the time, and the Mad Dog was a big proponent of cigars. And he was one of the first to discover Nick Perdomo. And so then I meet Nick on our way back from Las Vegas. He was at some cigar convention. I think I was doing some boxing match. And it couldn't have been a better guy, right? I mean, if you were going to root for somebody's success, Lubie, it's Nick Perdomo. And of course, Dave Gargles Gurgley featured here with a brew, and he's at the exotic location of the Maldives. And what does he bring with him? A Perdomo cigar, because they're that great.
Yeah, of course.
So, you can light one up anytime. They're located in Miami Lakes. They're available all over the place. When I was in Puerto Rico and some, real sort of upscale cigar places there. And let's face it, they're known for cigars in Puerto Rico. What's featured in the window of a couple of the shops there? Perdomo cigars. I mean, world-renowned, fantastic. So we can't say enough good things about Nick Perdomo and the great people at Perdomo Cigars. Fine sponsors here of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. All right, we got Lenny in the books. Let me give him a 4 total here on my scoreboard. And we'll get right back into it here. 954-417-0070. Asked where he ranked among all-time wide receivers, this Hall of Famer said, "I feel like I'm the best, but you're never going to get me to say that." Was that Jerry Rice, Glenn Rice, Donna Rice, or Ray Rice? And here is the random phone scramble. Ron. All right, Ron. Ron, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Defo. Let's go with A.
A's a good call, man. You have 1 point. You're right in there, and looking to go to bat, possibly against Lenny here. All right, true or false? Joe Biden, and look, there are a lot of people that think that Joe Biden is some feeble human being, but true or false? Joe Biden was a standout receiver in high school and played on the University of Delaware's freshman football team. Joe Biden, true or false?
Let's go false.
It's true.
It feels like a true.
As sophisticated as he looks and as clumsy and, you're looking at an old Joe Biden. A young Joe Biden was running the beach with his shirt off and chicks were fainting in his path. Incredible. He was putting a little juke move on there when he was at the University of Delaware and ditching a guy right at the line of scrimmage. Then a flying pattern right down the field. You know how you do the little head fake to the inside, then run
There
outside?
you go. Yeah.
That always worked for me. Why do people always go for the head fake, Lubie? You notice that?
Especially in football. Basketball, I get it. I don't
Football.
understand that football.
Basketball, the first head fake is useless, but then you got to go Oscar Robertson, the double head fake, shoot the ball. Okay, you have one going for 4 here, and this would tie you with Lenny, and we go right back to Serena. Serena Williams won her first Grand Slam singles title, and she did that at the age of 17, taking the 1999 U.S. Open, where she defeated in the final for the championship. Her first ever Grand Slam, U.S. Open, 1999. Who did Serena beat in the final round? Was that A, Venus Williams, B, Martina Hingis, C, Tracy Austin, or D, Lindsay Davenport?
I think it's Lindsay Davenport.
It was not Lindsay Davenport. It was Martina Hingis.
Martina
Hingis. She beat in the final. Hingis was always a top-notch player. She made a comeback after being out of tennis for a while and came back, I think, as like a very effective doubles player. Always very attractive Martina Hingis. Didn't she marry like somebody that was like a prosecutor in the OJ case or something? She married some like attorney, and it was a kind of an odd pairing. All right, one going for 6 here. This puts you in the lead. Yesterday marked the anniversary of the Griffeys, Ken and Ken Jr., becoming the first father and son team to play together for a major league team in 1990, when they were both in the lineup for the Seattle Mariners in a 5-2 victory over what team? Was that the Yankees, the A's, the Angels, or the Royals?
Let's go Royals.
It was the Royals. Nice job.
Good for you.
Who the hell would know that, Lubie? Nobody.
Round.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was kind of a dumb question, but were there ever, who else played as father and son? The Ripkins? I mean, who else was around? They made that sound like there were others. Father and son playing on the same team.
I know the Bonds were close, but I don't think they ever did. I think they're the only ones so far.
Did they play on the same team? Yeah. Did they play? No.
No,
Barry Bonds wasn't a Giant until late in his career.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I don't think anyone else has. They were the first, and I think they're the only to this point. The Ripken brothers played together. I don't think the father and son played together.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, you can't. I can't think of anybody else that would have been in the category. Can you? Who the hell would have done it? All right, very good though, Ron. 6 points as you in the lead. Lenny, 2 good sharp players so far. We'll play some more. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. You notice something very positive? Even though I suffered a bitter defeat and the disgrace of being dead wrong about Serena yesterday. No Vino Anafirmo questions so far.
That is true. Good for you.
It's hard to resist a couple of vetoes, It was Joey Zaza that he was the bodyguard for in Godfather 3. All right, back with more in a moment. We want to remind you, check out both Hialeah Park and, of course, Dave Gurgly's favorite cigars, Perdomo Cigars, proud sponsors of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that. Does Mayo take a day off on the lunchbox today? Did he declare that he needed a day to recover from this whole thing?
We'll be here.
51 sandwiches this cat ate in the span of 30 days. I guess it was 31 days, right?
Yes.
Wow. And how about Sony egging him on with shirts?
Yeah, exactly.
Championship belts, cases of mayonnaise. I mean, what couldn't this guy do to just continue to try and help Mike Mayo plunge to his death? And you notice he comes in at the end, right? He didn't get involved early on.
He was at the end just to be like,
right?
Just to make sure.
The promoter that comes in and go, okay, did everybody show up for the fight? Okay.
Exactly.
Right. Shave $10 off all of their pay. We had some expenses we didn't expect to incur cleaning up the place. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:10.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Another excerpt from yesterday's Donald Trump press conference there as he's suing everybody, claiming the evidence was planted as if it was the bloody glove there. Holy Mark Furman. What will you think of next? Surprised he hasn't got Furman, to
Exactly.
make some comments on this. Yeah, that's what we did with OJ, man. We framed the cat. All right, welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie. It's the Defo Show here in South Florida Live. We're immersed in the Hialeah Park Tribute Challenge, the fine people of Hialeah Park doing it right. 9 years as a casino, which is an incredible thing, always brilliant as a racetrack. Then sort of just laying there for a while in the weeds, and you're thinking, how is this place not just infested with weeds? Why? Because they kept it going. Because this John Brunetti Sr., certain people are visionaries, Louis. Yep. You know, there are people that have good ideas. There are people that execute good ideas. And then there are people that are in another category, and they are visionaries. That was John Brunetti Sr., man. I don't know that I understood that fully at the time, but, it's always, in the postscript that you see that, wow, man, was this guy something? Came up with this idea about the casino. Everybody thought he was out of his mind. Pulled it off. 9 years later, there it is. It's just absolutely fantastic. Great entertainment destination. Beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, ready for our next player, and we'll try and do a couple more at least here if we can. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. Good game working today here, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, as we have Ron in the lead. Pulled out that, answer about the Royals. Like he envisioned it. They're the Griffies, and it's their first game. I don't know. How many did they play together, father and son? With the Mariners, they win at 5-2 over who? That would be the Kansas City Royals, Defo. Unbelievable. Said with authority. All right, here we go. Our next set of questions. And once again, if you'd like to get in, 954-417-0070. And he says Mayo is an intelligent flounder from Animal House. I don't know that I see him as flounder. No, he's slicker than that, right? The guy went to like the Tufts, school and London School of Finance, for God's sake. He's no fool. It's Mike Mayo. Wrote for the Boston Globe. Came down here, Sun-Sentinel, carved out a 31-year career. I mean, a guy's got to have something on the ball, a little more so than like a goofball like Flounder, no? Although Flounder rhymes with rounder, which certainly would have to think Mike Mayo is after that 51 sandwich binge that he went through. All right, we'll see what direction he goes in on the lunchbox today. He also was like walking. All of a sudden, he's walking like 20 miles a day, this kid.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah. You got the message from God. All right, ask about resurrecting his once promising career. This NBA star said, "My career was sputtering until I did a 360 and got back in the right direction."
There you go.
Was that Tracy McGrady? He's not the only NBA guy to do a 360 comment, because I think Jason Kidd had one also. Like our season did a 360, and we got going down the right path. Tracy McGrady, Tracy Austin, Ike Austin, or Ike and Tina Turner. Here is the random phone scrambler. Andy. Wow, Andy. How goes it, Andy? How goes the battle, my friend?
Still here. I'm ready to fight Joe Frazier. I can take him right now.
I hope so. Is he alive?
You're ready to go 12 with a dead man. All right. That could be the title of our next book about our broadcasting careers here. Very good, Andy. So I'm glad you're doing well. I know you've had your share of travails there, and it seems like what do they do when you check in the emergency room? Did he just give you a standing 8 count at the door? I mean, how do they handle that?
Well, first I give him my BOGO card because I get 2 for 1 now. I get 2 house keys with the 2 for 1.
Why don't you just buy a timeshare in this hospital? Have you thought about investing in a room?
That's fire points. I'm covered till I'm dead.
His hospital points.
All right. True or false?
You know, Tracy McGrady had the best 20 seconds of basketball in history at the end of one game.
Yeah,
he scored like 14 points in 20 seconds when he gave one time.
Yeah. I mean, would you say he fulfilled his promise? I don't know. He was good for a period of time, wasn't he? Yeah.
He was great. He just kept
He
getting
was
hurt.
great. He was underrated. He was a great scorer.
Yeah, he was great. He just couldn't stay healthy.
All right, this one's a little complicated, this true-false question, Andy. You have 1 point, you're in the game. Although known most famously for coining the phrase, "you gotta believe," during the club's 1973 campaign, reliever Tug McGraw is also known as the father of country music star Tim McGraw. In his book, "You Gotta Believe," Tug McGraw says he only had sex with McGraw's mother, Betty DiAgostino, once, as she was a high school student living with her parents and left town on their demand after their lone encounter, because her parents sent her to live with relatives when they found out she was pregnant. So is that true or false that Tug McGraw claims he only had sex with Tim McGraw's mother one time, as in San Ratigliano? True or false?
Well, that would be consistent with the fact that they didn't really have a relationship, a father-son relationship growing up, so I would say true.
That is true. Wow.
Yeah, convoluted as
Well,
shit.
why else would I have asked that question unless somehow I knew that it was true? I mean,
Hell to be false.
so that was kind of a stupid one. Andy, way to go. You come through and have now 2 points, and you're going for 5, still alive for the sweep as we get into like page 16 of my questions here. Rory McIlroy just pocketed $18 million for winning the tour's season-ending FedEx Cup. Who was the 2021 winner of the FedEx Cup and the Tour Championship? Was that John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Patrick Cantlay, or Justin Thomas?
It was last year.
Last
Justin
year.
Thomas.
It was not Justin Thomas,
No.
although, I mean, anybody would be a reasonable consideration. I guess
I know,
Scheffler
I
kind
said
of
it's not-
broke through this year.
No, I said it's not Justin. I said it's not Justin Thomas.
So what is the
Oh,
answer?
okay. So who is it then of the 3 that are left?
You asshole.
Andy. Clever way of eliminating a name. Yeah. So is it Rahm, Scheffler, or Cantlay? I already explained it's not Scheffler. You're down to a 50-50. What do you got?
I'm joking. It's Justin Thomas. No, I was wrong.
Okay.
He's like,
Patrick Cantlay. Yeah, Patrick Cantlay was the winner.
No, not them.
That would have been a good one. Yeah, no, that's a good way to approach the game. It's called Confuse the Host.
Exactly. I was like, okay.
Yeah. All right, you now have 2 going for 7 here. This should still put you in the lead. I think you get this one fairly easily. Aaron Judge just became the 10th hitter in Major League Baseball history to have more than one 50-home run season. Of the following, who is, are you ready, Lubie?
Yeah, man.
Who is not
What?
Not
Not.
among those to accomplish that feat.
Mhm.
Ralph Kiner, Jimmy Fox, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays. Multiple 50 home
Hank
run
Aaron.
seasons. That is true. I don't think Hank
Hank
Aaron
Aaron.
ever had
Ah,
50. Yeah, very
No, he
good.
never had 50. Never had 50.
All right, you ended up with
That'll be
a nice fat
7.
7 points.
So
Took the
like we
lead
should do the
over
finals.
over Lenny, and very much likely to be in the finals
I
here.
think it's him and Ron because we're running short on time.
Okay, you want to go right to the finals with me? If that's the way you
I
want to
really
play,
want
then
to.
that's the way we'll do
I
it.
didn't know how many questions you had, to be brutally honest. So good for you for being.
I had another set going. I could have gotten by another player, but
We
no,
have
that's fine with me.
Feronis coming on at 8:30. I don't want to rush the finals, so I'll let you talk a little bit more about. Well, actually, you haven't talked about the Big Chill at all. If you want to give a shout out to the great people.
I do want to give a shout out to those people there because we love these guys at the Big Chill. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, and that's mile marker 104, Overseas Highway in Key Largo. And you can't go wrong. If you're looking for accommodations, you really have to check into this because, man, it is a dynamite place to stay. I know a lot of people like that sort of, rural beach type of feel, right? Like you're somewhere in the panhandle there and you're in an old shack. When you go to the Keys, forget about that. You want luxury. You want top of the line appointments. I mean, just a great place, and you can share these rooms. I mean, if you're a couple of families, you got kids, and you're looking to have a great time, great accommodations at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Check it out at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com. Now, the food and drink there, we've talked about it many, many times. Just off the chart. Absolutely sensational. The best stuff that you can get anywhere in the Keys with the widest variety in any one place and a beautiful setting as gorgeous as any place you could possibly sit. And as they say, chill out when you're at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. That's mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. Jimmy is going to be there promoting his book with us, and we'll have a show from Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill coming up in the next sometime, I would imagine, in September as we get ready for the football season. Nobody better to discuss the game with than Jimmy Johnson. Dave Hyatt, I think, is going to come down, be a part of that celebration. I think the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, is going to be on hand. And, of course, the great John Kajemi, who joins us for his Dateline Dolphins, which I don't know. I think I'm going to go with like Pigskin Playbook on the John Kajemi's Pigskin Playbook. Sarni strikes again. Svengaliing this show now, and I think that's what we're going to use as the moniker for that thing. Anyway, John will be down there as well. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo, a beautiful place. All right, we're going to come right back and contest the finals. What do you think, Libby? It looks like you're scrambling there. So come back in just a moment, have the finals, and then David Furones is going to join us. We'll get the skinny on the Miami Dolphins here on the show. 12 o'clock today, and I'm not sure. Will we be blowing taps? Certainly on Sandwich Month for Mike Mayo. But I mean, does he turn over a new leaf and go on some kind of cockamamie diet after this? He can't, right? How can you be a food critic and be on some kind of ridiculous diet, microbiotics and all of that? Well, today I had some wheat germ. Get the fuck out of here! All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Yes, I was sipping some strained wheatgrass. That wouldn't fit with Mayo. He needs a sandwich. It's 8:23. In style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, And that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Don't gamble in anger.
She hit the daily.
Very calm. Think it through. If you need a little
gamble in
help,
anger.
don't gamble in anger. It
I
never works.
get a panicked phone call, and he says, "Do you have any extra cash?" I go, "Yeah, I brought money with me to Atlantic City." He goes, "Well, I can't get any more out of the card because the
Oh, well,
Mustang
shut
went
up,
wild and emptied the daily allotment of cash."
Double nickels, man. She went for a nickel on her card and a nickel on mine.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
That's known as a Richard Nixon. Did you know that, Lubie, in gambling terminology, degenerate talk? A Richard Nixon, when you go for double nickels, where you tap out both of your ATM cards to the maximum, and it's 500 is the limit, which is the case with me and the Mustang, and it's always ugly. I had to do this in New Orleans. Go, Mustang, did you bring your ATM card? Because unfortunately, I've tapped out mine. That was ugly. All right, we've made amends for that, and we're going to make amends here by going to the finals of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. The game is under protest, like a Little League baseball game, as Lenny the Chronic, who was the first one to weigh in, tallied 4 points, came up short, got aced out of the finals here by two guys that they're labeling the geezers at Caesars here on the show. The fans are really into this competition here. Pat Fox weighing in on that. And he says that I lobbed. I mean, I did. I lobbed Andy a softball, but it just happened. The question in and of itself, did everybody know that, right? That Hank Aaron, I mean, the all-time home run leader in many people's minds, never had a 50 home run season, not even one.
That's well known. Yeah.
Right. So it was a poorly asked question, and
For a 5-point.
it was a disgrace that this might decide the championship. Holy setup for Serena here. I'm operating this show like I'm Jose Suleiman with the World Boxing Council. A setup here for our friends. No, we love Lenny the Chronic. We didn't mean to ace him out.
Friends, yeah.
When Andy wins, it saves us a Landlubbers gift certificate also. All right, so we have Andy and Ron. Andy and Ron. I'm not sure that a cheesesteak is on the list of desired. Were you eating like lemon jello? I mean, what was going on in the hospital, and how would you rate the hospital food, Andy, on your many late visits?
I made a post rating the hospital food that I was at JFK in Delray in Lake Worth, and the food is not as good as West Side and Plantation. The salmon is flat. There's no real taste. But they didn't. Neither hospital charged an inflation surcharge. I didn't see it on the bill. None of them charged an extra 10% inflation.
I'll never forget when it hit me that Paulie and I finally had a business that we could believe in and invest in with confidence. It hit me that we should have drive-through hospital food. But here in Florida, it would be a big hit, wouldn't it? Because this is what people are more accustomed to than actual regular food. So now they could drive through. Okay, I want the Jello with the cherry in it and the soup. What is the soup today? It's like broth. So it really wouldn't matter what the hell it was. And you drive up and you get your stuff. And I happened to call Paulie with this idea. And at the precise time that I was calling him, he was in some kind of horrific car accident.
Oh, Jesus.
Where nothing survived except the polyman, a.k.a., I'm leading people to believe that, he does have the constitution of a cockroach, not to imply that he is in any way like one of the most despised insects in the history of the world. All right, never mind all of that. Let's get to the finals here.
Finals are superstars.
You guys ready? Ronnie, you ready? You all set?
Hey, Ronnie.
Ronnie's ready to go.
Yes, I'm all set. All set.
Okay,
Hey,
I think both of you guys have probably noticed one, but it'll be a race against the clock then to see who gets in first. So call out your name when you want to answer, and I don't even think we'll get to multiple choice. In 1986, when the New York Mets won their last World Series against Boston, and by the way, big win for the Mets last night there, as Atlanta also won, but the Mets with DeGrom beat the Dodgers. But when they won the World Series in 1986, beating Boston, of course, with the famous play by Buckner at first base and Mookie Wilson, who did they beat in the NLCS to earn the shot at the title?
Houston. Andy, Houston.
There it is. Andy, you got it, baby.
I heard Andy first. Yeah, I heard Andy.
Andy got it with
Ron,
Houston.
I donate my gift certificate to Ron and Lenny.
Well, that doesn't help us,
They don't
Andy,
need it.
because when you win, which is why I lobbed you that softball about Hank Aaron, we save Dufresne a gift certificate. So a new rule has been established here that there is no transfer of prizes
Exactly.
from winner to runner-up.
During the show, he makes
And with that, if you're watching on the stream, I always love this when it happens. Lubie's sound effect thing falls off the wall there and exposes just an ugly series of ink blot test-like tape arrangements. It's great. So, I mean, great job, both of you guys. Andy, congratulations. Ron, thanks for playing the game. Lenny, it was good having you in there. And we're sorry we didn't get to more, but we want to get to the Miami Dolphins. And we're going to do that through the eyes of David Furones of the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. He covers the team. Was covering the Hurricanes up until a couple of years ago, got involved on a Dolphin beat, and then, wow, I mean, how great is this? It's better than having the guy that you're rooting for to move out of the spot that you covet, getting hit by a bus, because at least he survives and moves on.
Yes.
But Omar Kelly, who was a South Florida Sun-Sentinel main beat writer, I would imagine David inherits this gig, no?
Step up, yeah. You would think Feronis steps up, and then Perkins goes into Feronis' spot. You would think.
Perkins is back on the gig. Yes. Yeah, very nice. Yes. All right. Yes.
We're going to have him on sometime either tomorrow or early next week.
Oh, yeah? Okay, because I know what he said. He told Mayo this as soon as, he told Mike that he got a job back at the Sun-Sentinel. And he says, just when I thought I was out,
they pulled me back in, yeah.
They pulled me back in. And it happened to Chris Perkins. Of course, a paycheck helps. All right, we're coming back with David Furones. We'll get the scoop on the Miami Dolphins. Why people are, there seems to be a little bit more optimism about the over on the 8 and a hook than I'm sensing there is sentiment towards the idea that, I don't know, man, that schedule. Do we need to go Segredo on this thing ourselves?
We've already gone.
Analyze the schedule? We did it with, did it with Tony, but he has a moment.
Oh, no, game by game. No, we haven't done game by game yet. No.
He could have looked at the worst teams, that the Dolphins ever put together in history and have them at 10-6. That was always a great thing about that whole Segredo business at the start of the newscast. And then they would get to the war in Iran. Right? Let's go to Tony. We lost 2,700 American troops today, but first up, Dolphin schedule came out. Here's Tony Segredo from the sports department, and he's going to go game by game for the next 15 minutes. Tell you who he thinks is going to win.
Oh, my God.
It's funny. I don't turn on the radio much in the car anymore. Just listen to the music, and I don't know. I mean, I still enjoy sports talk, but it really isn't a great sampling of it. It's too much sameness for me, the sports talk that is out there. But I tuned in yesterday, and there isn't a tremendous amount of creativity in this business anymore. It's the same conversation over and over and over again. It's crazy. Kind of like me going on about Serena Williams.
They don't want it.
I was saying, do you really think Aaron Rodgers is happy with Green Bay management? How the fuck would I know? I mean, I don't know. How unhappy could he be? He's getting $300 million from these guys.
Who cares?
He could be the sourest of pusses.
Exactly. Who cares?
Exactly. All right. We're coming back with David Furones. Sorry, I didn't mean to babble on there and, compromise the time we have with David. Find out about the Miami Dolphins. They start their season a week from Sunday. Wow.
Yes, sir.
And it's on. Game on, dude, man. The NFL, they made some cuts. They cut some name players. Players, at least. When are they cutting guys that still have shelf life and name value?
Ever.
Well, they're trying to save money. All right, back with David Furones of the Sun-Sentinel. It's a Miami Dolphin conversation, NFL as well. In a moment, now that.
The time
It is 8:35.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
You can't fake caring. Women can sense this immediately. You don't really care. You didn't really want to do any of this.
We now return to the Defo Show.
I'm not always sure that it's fair to measure intent, Lubie, in a relationship. Sometimes you just got to say, hey, you know what? I was there. I went to the movies.
Yep.
So what if I hated it? And I let you know the entire time. I don't care. I went. All right, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here. Showtime on South Florida Live, 7 to 9 every Monday through Friday. And we have a wide variety of people that we really love having on the program that come on and share their insights with us. I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz. And we welcome one of those cats who Lubie discovered, one day. And we said, wow, this kid's really good. And now he's the big market there covering the Miami Dolphins for the Sun-Sentinel. And as we said, it isn't as if Omar Kelly got hit by a bus, and you're saying, oh, that's a shame, it's such a young man. He went to another job, and here's David Furones steps in there, and he's the number one guy on a Dolphin beat, David Furones. So welcome to the program. How are you, my friend? Congratulations.
Hey, thank you, guys. Now, I want to say number one guy. We have Chris Perkins back, columnist. So same role, but different teammate here, but definitely happy to be working with Perkins. And I'm missing Omar Kelly every day, but appreciate working with Perk as well, and appreciate being on with you guys.
Well, you're the man.
Perkins is great, man.
We love Perk too. It's actually a great team, tandem. We love both you guys. You guys both do a great job.
Yeah, no, Perkins, always a smile on his face. He was playing a field there for a while. He was a known playboy, Chris Perkins. I guess he settled down. But it was always interesting, to book him. Naturally, you wanted some kind of Dolphins aftermath with one of the beat writers on Sports Talk Radio in the heyday of this stuff. And, we had 4 hours to fill, and we always look forward to having Chris on. And you never knew. It was an over-under on whether or not you were going to be able to find him. Because you never knew. And then he would, come on. And it was like, well, I was on Los Angeles till 5 o'clock last night. So what do you got for me? And we're like, okay. Well, Chris, what do you think about the quarterback situation? So I kind of went like that. He settled down. He's a great guy.
He does always come through, yes.
We do love him. All right. We've been talking about this, David. You may as well weigh in on this one. A lot of people have. I'm not sure that there's a definitive answer at this point. People are looking up sabermetrics, and they have the Dolphins winning 8.9 games during the season. And some people think, well, geez, the schedule, it's horrific, and they're going to start out in some real dire straits, and then they finish the season with like a ridiculous West Coast games against killer teams. So people are believers that maybe even though they won 9 games last year, they're going to win less than the 8 and a hook that Vegas has proposed. Lubie and I share the same opinion, which scares me, and that is that how could the team not be as good as it was last year when they won 9 games after starting 1-7 when they made all these personnel changes? What is your thought? Do you see that? I can't imagine they would consider it successful if they didn't at least win 10 games this year with these moves they made in the offseason.
Yeah, the prediction I have made is 10-7. Ultimately, I'm arriving at that. Like you said, there has to be some improvement coming off of last year with the way they stacked this roster so much more than what the team had previously. And then it's just also a combination of a very competitive AFC, a schedule that is, like you mentioned, tough at the beginning and then tough at the end. And then they have this middle stretch where they have to accumulate a lot of wins against teams that they should beat or at least are on an even field with. And so I like this first 4-game stretch, and I'm thinking, okay, it's very possible to start 1-3. 1-3 might actually be the most likely 4-game start when you look at home against the Patriots, at Baltimore, where the Dolphins always struggle, then home against Buffalo, where even though it is early in the season with the heat and humidity, Buffalo is a Super Bowl favorite, and even last year that was a Week 2 matchup early in the season. Same kind of the Bills knocked Tua out of the game early and won 35-0 in that one. And then at Cincinnati, just went to a Super Bowl, and that's on a Thursday night on a short week, traveling on the road. So that's a very difficult first 4-game stretch. Then you get into the middle where you have the Detroits and the Chicagos and Cleveland without Deshaun Watson and a few other games in that stretch where the Jets is Week 5. So you have to make sure you get some wins there. And then the tough West Coast stretch, I think they need to win. They need to split between that San Francisco and LA Chargers matchup at least. And then you have your late season trips to Buffalo and New England, which are going to be probably frigid in December and January 1st in Foxborough. The Packers at home on Christmas before finishing up with the Jets. So all in all, I think it somehow ends up coming out to 10-7 and in highly competitive AFC. Maybe that ends up being good for a wild card spot. A lot of teams are going to have good records, but you never know. Injuries play a factor with other teams, and they have to go against each other a lot of the time. All those AFC West teams that are all competing for playoff spots, they have to play each other twice a year. So they will be handing losses to each other ultimately, and we'll see if that's good enough to get into the playoffs. I think it will be.
Well, David, and look, you've covered the team now for 2-3 years, but you're I don't know if you're born here, but I know you're from here, so you've followed the team for a long time, and it's something that Defo and I have sort of joked about before you came on, and recently, and it's why I have confidence that this team will be better than the national media is covering them, because for the first time in a long time, they're getting rid of players that are good. Like Lynn Bowden Jr. should make a roster. Lynn Bowden Jr. should be a top 5 receiver on a roster. There's just no room for him here. Like, if you look at the running backs, Sony Michel got scooped up immediately by the Chargers, who are a playoff contender. But there's no room for him here. You know, there is some issues on the offensive line. There is some issues with cornerback, but that's more injury than lack of talent. Like, for the first time in a long time, they're getting rid of players you've heard before. They would keep players you never heard of. Now they're getting rid of players you've heard of. And that's something that's very different from this roster than in the past for the Miami Dolphins.
Certainly. I mean, I was breaking down the whole roster, the days leading up to the final cuts and the 53-man roster. And I'm there thinking, well, you know, so many of these spots, you know, you go deep into the 40s with guys that certainly need to be on the NFL roster. And then even more so because, you know, you're talking about Preston Williams was on this roster the past 3 years, and he's not really fitting in. And the team was trying to shop him, and he didn't really have a great camp. You know, a Lynn Bowden not making the team, a Sony Michel immediately picked up. I was, and then they're still adding because then they signed Flowers, a veteran who, you know, has won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. He goes back with defensive coordinator Josh Boyer to those days, has been with the Detroit Lions the past few years. And that was already a deep edge group. And I was looking at guys that were on the roster cutoff line, like Brennan Scarlett, who was an outside linebacker that was on the active roster last year. Porter Justin that they brought in, and I thought he had a really good camp. And he has a 53-man roster experience with the Cleveland Browns each of the past 3 seasons. And these are guys that didn't make the team. Justin is being kept on the practice squad. But, you know, after already adding Melvin Ingram early in the offseason and then Trey Flowers to this group of guys on the edge, to a group where you already have Jalen Phillips. Now Andrew Van Ginkel had his appendix removed, so he's going to be out. Maybe he's out week 1. We'll have to get more clarity on his timetable, but you're still adding to that group. And then that made some of my decisions easy. I'm like, okay, well now there is no spot for these other edge guys because it's just these are the ones that absolutely need to be on the roster, and you're already coming pretty close to the 53 on just those guys alone. Yep. And then even leaving some really good players out. So yeah, I mean, this is a talented, deep roster for sure.
I love the fact they kind of bozoically backed into this. I mean, Stephen Ross, suspended now, disgraced owner. And, I mean, all of the things that were happening during the offseason, including apparently, I don't even know, I guess this happened prior to last season, where, he's serving caviar to Tom Brady and Sean Payton while they're wearing the jerseys of the teams that they're currently with, knowing that the NFL, I mean, tampering obviously is going on, much more routinely than the NFL would like you to think. But this being blatant with a couple of big name guys, and he's on a boat with Brian Flores, that makes Tiger Woods' yacht look like a dinghy, and offering them the moon, pieces of the franchise, and this was their plan, this was their direction, and they wanted to bag Tua for an aging Tom Brady. Never would have had this Mike McDaniel guy, as Lubie's been pointing out. He might have been the fifth guy they were considering, and that somehow it looks like all of that is going to work out in their favor. Because when Plan A didn't work out, even though they ended up being exposed as being fools, Plan B somehow took shape. And what happened? As Chris Greer, has he had a brain transplant or something? All of a sudden, he was making like genius moves.
I can't report that. I can't confirm if that has occurred. But
had you considered that in any of your columns or coverage? Has that come up at a press conference?
I don't think so, but glad you're on the case.
Yeah.
Quite a circuitous route to get to this point, and one that I think a lot of people are very pleased with, even though if Plan A was, as has been proven by the tampering violations the Dolphins were proven to have made, and that the NFL penalized them for. Tom Brady and Sean Payton. That was very clearly now the Plan A all along, and that didn't go down. But I think the franchise and a lot of the fan base is at a point where they're very happy with. Okay, we got Mike McDaniel. We really like this guy. You see it in his personality, the way he's bringing this team together. And now it is only the preseason, and we still have to actually get to games being played, and then we'll find out what's really what. But I think he's doing all the right things thus far. I think players enjoy playing for him, and we'll have to see when adversity hits how that holds up and how he deals with that. But I do think he has taken a lot of mental reps, as a lot of coaches say for players when they're injured or something. I feel like all his years leading up to this, as a coordinator last year, as any assistant of a variety of assistant coaching positions he has held, he has always kind of put himself in the mental place of what he would do as a head coach, which I think has prepared him for these moments. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all comes together. And as far as the quarterback as well, and Tua Tagovailoa, I think a lot of fans are very happy just having him get this opportunity this year. And what I'm not breaking any news here, but it is a make or break year, as everyone has mentioned endlessly for Tua. He's got the weapons he needs. He's got the star receiver. Jalen Waddle is butting into another star, and Mike Gesicki on the outside, although he has to learn this new offense and basically play real tight end for the first time, as opposed to being an extra wide receiver. And you shored up the offensive line to an extent to help him out. Still have the great defense coming back. So I think it's all there for him. And then now if Tua can't deliver, now you have to move on, find something else. But he's got everything that he needs now, for sure.
David Furones, who covers the Dolphins for the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, with us here on the Defo Show. Of course, with Mike Lubie Lubitz, Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. More likely to happen, in your opinion, David? And we'll just do some image projection here. 3 years down the road, are we going to see Mike McDaniel being carried off the field, celebrating a winning championship in Vince Lombardi-like fashion, or carried out of the arena, Hard Rock Stadium, with a jacket that ties in the back? More likely to happen, because I'm hoping this stuff that he's doing works. And a lot of people are. Yeah. And it's something you can get into, especially being a byproduct of the hippy dippy era, where we were thinking, yeah, man, that's cool. seems good. I mean, as opposed to the usual hard-on military sergeant dickhead type of coach that you would normally associate in these kind of roles, and that the Dolphins, well, I don't know that they've ever gravitated towards that kind of guy, because all you have to do is hold up a picture of Joe Philbin. That's not really their style, but man, this guy's he's a different egg, is he not?
Yeah, he's different for sure. He takes it. It's almost he can almost be a trendsetter in the NFL if his style works. It's really interesting from that perspective, where he can show you don't have to be this hard ass coach all the time to win if he does end up being successful here. And sure, there are some other guys that maybe similar to him. I mean, he comes off the Shanahan tree, so Kyle Shanahan is Mike Shanahan's son, and he was under him, and Sean McVay with the Rams, and Matt LaFleur was also with them now, leading the Packers. So all these kind of young guys that have risen through the ranks in recent years. Now, what was the timeline you gave me on this prediction? What's more likely to happen?
3 years. 3 years. Year one too soon to figure it
3
out.
years.
Yeah, championship or straight jacket. There's no middle ground here.
Yeah, exactly. There's only extremes. There's no middle.
Yeah.
No middle.
Yeah.
Because he could end up being a Looney Tune. That's the other side of it. I mean, with all of his brilliance, every now and then, a guy turns out to be just a stone crackpot. And he ends up like screaming at some judge in a courtroom, like Christo, who had all those bizarre art projects.
Yeah, if it's that extreme on the other end, a straitjacket, then I'll say probably more likely than he ends up winning the Super Bowl. But we've also gone through this so many times with different coaches. We've gone through it so many times with different coaches. And the optimism in year one and how it's all going to come together a few years down the road. And then ultimately, over the past 2 decades, then we see all those coaches end up ultimately getting canned at some point. It's funny, an agent shared a story with me that he told Mike McDaniel, representing one of his players, hey, I've been through a number of these. Once you're gone, I'm still going to be here. And he said it like a definitive, like when it happens, when you're fired, in whatever many years, and which is also reality in the NFL. It's just the average lifespan of a coach with a team isn't that long. So, you sprinkle some reality into it as well, but you can also fantasize and imagine, hey, this is a possibility, and it could become reality if you start seeing, especially this year, some of the things come together.
Adam Gase, right? I mean, he could have left here in a straitjacket. We didn't until we saw that introductory jet press conference that he had. You would have thought, wow, this guy, was a tough, son of a gun that just didn't come up right. Quarterback whisperer, right? Was supposed to straighten out Ryan Tannehill, and as soon as Tannehill got away from him, he became like a decent quarterback.
Right, and exactly, and Gase made the playoffs in his first year with the Dolphins. Tony Spoliano made the playoffs in his first year with the Dolphins. Now, then they couldn't keep it up afterwards.
Exactly.
So
a couple of real losers.
Going into future seasons beyond that'll be the key.
Well, which gets back to the magic question, and I hope you bring this up, David. I mean, I don't know if Perk will do it, but if you're at the next press conference with Chris Greer, ask him. Just say, is that a little hole I see in the side of your head there?
God.
Oh, God.
You're the worst.
Because, Lubie had him there thinking, Lubie's thought was that this guy must have had a lobotomy with some of the, moves that he was making. And then turns out he was infused with, like, the brain of, some of the bright minds ever in football history. All right. We wish you the best of it. I hope to talk to you many times throughout the season. David Furones, South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Some insight into the Dolphins. I think I'm leaning with you that we have to play the over on this. But then I had Serena getting bludgeoned last night, in this match at the U.S. Open. And, thought there was even a better chance of her getting carried out of the arena in a stretcher than again, on the shoulders of Tiger Woods in victory. All right, Dave. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for being with us.
Always appreciate it. Always a good time. Thank you.
All right, David Furones, ladies and gentlemen. So Perk just moved right into the number one spot. I mean, this guy was on the bench there. He was following like the police blotter on a part-time basis. No, he was. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, all work is good work, my friend. So look, I mean, we're doing this. No, I mean, it's great. But yeah, okay, that makes some sense. So I mean, he was the beat writer for the Dolphins
for a
Did
while.
he do it for both? Did he do it for both the Sun-Sentinel and the Herald? Chris Perkins was.
I know he was with the Palm Beach Post. I know he's with the Sentinel and the Palm Beach Post. I think he also did the Herald as well. Like I think he did the tour, like Scoop did as well.
That Dolphin beat would be the premier beat, would it not? I mean, if you were a beat writer, or is it the Miami Heat? Because Winderman is writing almost the entire paper these days. Even in the off season, right? I mean, there's a sniff that we could get Donovan Mitchell, who they were only asking for 17 first-round picks.
Exactly.
This would stretch the Heat's, allotment of first-round picks into the 3,000s, because Riley always trades them away, right? He's still paying out first-round protected picks for Udonis Haslem.
LeBron.
Yeah. So anyway, that seems to be the MO of the paper, though. It's all about the Miami Heat. Aren't the Dolphins the number one beat here in town? The NFL is always going to reign supreme.
The Heat have gotten, with the younger audience, the Heat are right there. But I think the Dolphins, with losing, still matter. So if the Dolphins won, then they would blow away the Heat. Like, I think the Heat have become it just because they're the only team that wins consistently. If the Dolphins won at all, then the Dolphins would overtake them, like for sure.
Total misnomer here. I mean, we were dead wrong about this in all of our conversations about whether or not baseball would make it here. What was the key, Lubie? Everybody was talking about it. You were young then when this was transpiring, and there was the occasional talk on a sports talk show where, somebody, hey, you think we'll ever get a baseball team down here? I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know. Right? Could it work? But the key point, and the Marlins tried to, I guess, hone in on this as a marketing ploy for a while, although, it was a very, poor effort to cultivate the Hispanic fan, because we all thought the Hispanic fan would be baseball fans here in South Florida because they love the baseball, right?
Yes.
And they're all Heat fans, though. I mean, you go to a Heat game, right? Is it not, a largely Hispanic, Latin crowd?
Yes.
How did that happen, man, where they adopted basketball as their game?
Win. People like a winner, and the Marlins don't. And the Dolphins haven't, and the Panthers haven't, and the Canes haven't. The Heat won every year. Even when the Heat are bad, by the next year they're good. They're not bad for more than a year.
Remember, at a rapist stand, the guy never sold one. Before the Hispanics embraced the Miami Heat. Now, all of a sudden, the guy has like
he's got a stand-up shop,
a brick and mortar shop, right outside that parking lot with the broken glass. And that's like $50 a pop for big games, right? How do you raise parking because of this specific team that's in town? That's really cool, right? You're paying $20 all the time to see some of the schmink teams, and then all of a sudden the Celtics come to town and it's like 50. What? Same spot. Come on. The sports fan, is just taking a broom right up the rear end. Are they not?
Oh, yeah. They take a bath.
If you're going to games, people used to. That was another big sports talk thing, right? Well, you don't go to any games, so you're not really equipped to commentate on this. You would say that. that was a big Hank thing, right? With the college, you don't go to any games. When do you know? Like you can watch them on TV, get a good feel for it. No, I don't know. I think my inclination would be to never go to any games.
I learn. I enjoy going to the games, but I see so much more at home. Like that stuff, I guess, if you're focused on the offensive line play, you can see more in person because the TV pulls away from the offensive line. But outside of that, going and covering games, I never got anything more of it. Like the seats they usually give you are horrendous. Like you're like way up there. You're not seeing everything. Like you see so much more.
And a hassle, man. I'll never forget when Big Rich and I left the parking lot. We were on the 6th floor of the Marlins parking lot. We went to see a Yankee game. And we didn't even think the first guy at the top there is going to be the last guy out of here.
Yep.
And it's the only time they had a crowd and they weren't capable of handling it.
Yep.
It was the worst traffic nightmare I have ever seen leaving a ballpark. And I've left many ballparks with hundreds of thousands of people.
Yep.
And small parking lots and venues that were just overwhelmed with the number of cars that were there on a given night, and nothing was like it. I don't know. I mean, it's still great when you go. I would have to say that.
Games, it's just
Yeah.
I don't
But
get it.
my inclination to want to go to every ball game certainly has diminished over the years. As in, I haven't been to a game in 2 years. No, I mean, I think the last game I actually went to was the Patriots game last year against the Dolphins. And I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything about any tickets for that game, Lubie. What am I going to do? All right, we're coming. We're coming at you tomorrow. Wow, I can't believe it. We rolled it right out of the show here. It was an added task to take on to conduct the trivia challenge here. Gurgles will be back with us next week. Our thanks to the Hialeah Park people, and of course Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. All of our fine sponsors here on the show. I owe Tony Segreto a dinner at Texas Roadhouse. I don't mind that at all. That's like going out to lunch somewhere in terms of the tab. Nothing. Unbelievable. So Segreto didn't really cash on that, but he was right, and he feels great about that. How much shit is he going to give me next week on the show?
It's going to be fun. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. He's going to have a good time.
I mean, it's very conceivable. Serena, the way she played after she took the juice in the third set there, after this mysterious bathroom break, where, not only was Victor Conti there, but Dr. Galea and Tiger Woods and Lance Armstrong. And various other people with, their license since suspended by the medical field. And she comes out and plays a dynamite third set like that. A coincidence?
No.
Louie?
Something
I
happened.
think not.
100%.
What do the USTA and the World Boxing Council have in common? All right, we're coming back with you tomorrow, and that'll be a Degenerate Friday. We'll have our full complement of players on there, including Mark Lawrence, who joined us again last week, and the professor, who would not admit that he was at the Ben Affleck wedding. In fact, he took offense at me implying that might have been where his whereabouts would have been established when he missed the show the week before, mysteriously. And, it just happened to be in the state of Georgia when tracked down by Lubie. So you make your own conclusions. But we'll have all that going for you. And that's coming up tomorrow on the show. Then a big Labor Day weekend. So we'll be off on Monday. And hope you guys have all of the best. We'll try and give you some insight into the games coming up over the weekend so that you don't go broke betting your own selections.
There you go.
Or maybe you verify and confirm your own selections, as happened when the professor agreed with Josh Booty that LSU was a cinch to cover 3 points against Lubie's vaunted Florida State team, who steamrolled their way past Duquesne, 47-7. Duquesne.
Heralded.
Unbelievable. They could have beaten the prison team in Shawshank with Andy Dufresne. I mean, no, Duquesne. I'm talking about not FSU. I hope you're right, Louie. You know what? I'm rooting for you to have a good season with FSU. You've been through a lot of shit lately with that team. I will see you next time as we leave you know that. Thanks to Hialeah and all of our fine sponsors, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, Texas Roadhouse, all of these great people here, Catholic Health Services. It is 9:02.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.